Good day, ma'am. My name is Jenny and Betty. So for the next topic is about Chapter 7, Special Topics. So for the learning objectives, discuss the various special laws affecting the tourism industry, identify situations and problems where these special laws may be applied as a solution, and identify some tourism establishments that implement as well as not implement these special laws. For the topic outline, we have here the Senior Citizen Law, Laws on Security or Anti-Terrorism Law, Consumer Act of the Philippines, Cultural Minorities, Protected Areas, Wildlife and Heritage and Cultural Presentations, UAI Draft Charter on the Rights of Minorities, National Caves and Cave Resources Management Protection Act, Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act, National Integrated Protected Area System Act, Law on Intellectual Property Rights, Anti-Child Abuse Law, Anti-Prostitution Law, Anti-Pornography Law, Anti-Hijacking Law, Dangerous Drugs Law, Anti-Smoking Law, Anti-Smuggling Law, Law on Violence Against Women and Children, Laws on Human Trafficking, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child, World Congress Against Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children, World Tourism Organization, the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism, UNESCO World Heritage, Health Tourism, and Tourism Research. For our first topic, we have here the admission requirements. The Republic Act Number 9257, also known as the Senior Citizen Law of 2004, grants senior citizens in the Philippines various discounts to support their welfare. So it concludes a 20% discount on goods and services in establishments such as hotels, restaurants, recreational centers, theaters, cinemas, concert halls, and more places. So additionally, senior citizens are entitled to a 20% discount on domestic air and sea travel, public transportation, and similar services. So the law defines senior citizens as residents aged 60 years and above. The Department of Tourism has issued a memorandum directing accredited establishments to comply with these discounts for senior citizens. Next is Laws on Security or Anti-Terrorism Law, Republic Act Number 9372. The Human Security Act of 2007 aims to protect life, liberty, and property from terrorism, which is considered a threat to national security and an act against humanity. The law defines terrorism as the commission of various serious crimes such as piracy, rebellion, coup d'etat, murder, kidnapping, arson, and illegal possessions of weapons, among others. When these acts create widespread fear and panic to coerce the government, the law also grants law enforcement authority with a court order to use electronic surveillance to intercept communications related to tourism or individuals involved in terrorist activities. Next is Consumer Act of the Philippines. So RA 7394 aims to protect consumer interests, promote welfare, and set standards for business conduct. It focuses on safeguarding health and safety, preventing deceptive practices, providing consumer education, ensuring adequate rights and redress, and involving consumer representatives in policy making. So key government agencies, including the Department of Health, Department of Agriculture, the Trade and Industry, are responsible for enforcing the law. So their tasks include developing safety and quality standards, assisting consumers in evaluating products, ensuring protection from risk, conducting research on product safety, and ensuring product consistency. Standards may cover performance, composition, safety, packaging, and labeling requirements for consumer products. Next is the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997. So Republic Act Number 8371, or the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997, recognizes and promotes the rights of indigenous cultural communities or indigenous peoples under the Constitution. It enforces state policies that A. Uphold ICC/RIP rights within national unity, B. Protect ancestral domains based on customary laws, C. Preserve and respect ICC/RIP cultures and traditions, D. Guarantee equal human rights and freedoms without discrimination, E. Ensure ICC/RIPs benefit equally from the national's rights and opportunities, and F. Maximize ICC/RIP participation in shaping education, health, and other services. The law establishes mechanisms to enforce these rights while respecting ICC/RIP customs, traditions, values, and institutions. The UAE Draft Charter on the Rights of Minorities emphasizes the role of lawyers, associations in promoting and defending the rights of minority individuals and groups. For the Article 1, no person should face discrimination for being part of a national, ethnic, linguistic, cultural, religious minority, or due to sexual orientation. Article 2, lawyers' associations should promote education on minority rights in law, schools, and continuing legal education. For the Article 3, minority individuals on trial have the right to fair proceedings before an independent, impartial court as guaranteed by international law. So this highlights how the legal profession through international declaration supports the protection of minority rights and ensures international legal standards apply when local courts are unjust or biased. So the National Caves and Cave Resources Management and Protection Act, Republic Act Number 9072, enacted on April 8, 2001, declares the policy of the Philippine government to conserve, protect, and manage caves and cave resources as part of the country's natural heritage, recognizing their importance not only for the biodiversity and the environment but also for scientific, educational, recreational, and tourism purposes, while ensuring responsible cooperation between government authorities, local communities, and other stakeholders who use or access these caves and their natural and cultural resources. Next is the Wildlife Resources Conservation and Protection Act. Republic Act Number 9147, or the Wildlife Resources Conservation, it aims to conserve and protect the Philippines' wildlife and habitats, regulate wildlife collection and trade, fulfill international conservation commitments, and support scientific research. The DENR handles terrestrial and wetland species, while the DA oversees aquatic species, and the law prohibits unauthorized exploitation or processing of wildlife, allowing collection only for non-harmful, regulated, or traditional indigenous uses, with commercial breeding requiring official permits. Next is law on intellectual property rights. So this was created to simplify patent, trademark, and copyright registrations, ease technology transfer processes, and strengthen intellectual property rights enforcement. It ensures that inventors, authors, composers, artists, and designers are protected from unauthorized use of their creations, as shown in the case of Michael and Anna Parsons, whose planned use of the name Mandarin for their restaurant could cause brand confusion with the long-established Mandarin Oriental Hotel, highlighting the law's role in preventing consumer confusion and protecting established IP rights. Next is the Anti-Child Abuse Law. Republic Act Number 7610, as amended by the RA 9231, which provides special protection to children from all forms of abuse, neglect, exploitation, discrimination, and impose penalties for violators. So it prohibits employing children under 15 except for when working under their parents or in media or entertainment with proper contracts and approval. So children below 15 can work up to 20 hours a week, no more than 4 hours per day. And this age 15-17 can work up to 8 hours daily, maximum of 40 hours per week, with strict curfews. So it also bans using minors in ads for alcohol, tobacco, gambling, violence, or pornography, and mandates the closure of establishments involved in child exploitation, prostitution, trafficking, or indecent acts. The anti-prostitution law defines a prostitute as a woman who habitually engages in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct for money or profit. So it clarifies that a single instance of sex for money does not constitute prostitution, nor does engaging in multiple sexual acts unless there is evidence of habitual conduct for profit. So the law also states that lascivious conduct alone without intercourse is sufficient to define prostitution. The penalties for prostitution include imprisonment, a fine, or both at the discretion of the court. The Anti-Pornography Law, Article 201, penalizes individuals who promote immoral doctrines, produce or distribute obscene literature, or exhibit indecent or immoral performances in public places. It includes authors, editors, and sellers of obscene materials, as well as those who display immoral acts in theaters, or other venues. So the law defines obscene materials as content that corrupts or depraves individuals, especially those susceptible to immoral influences, and violates public morals or decency. Also prohibits content that glorifies crime, promotes violence, or abets illegal activities such as drug trafficking. So the offense is committed when such materials are made public, and the standard for obscenity is whether the material shocks common decency. Next is the Anti-Hijacking Law, Republic Act No. 6235, criminalizes actions that force a change in the course or destination of an aircraft or the seizure of control of an aircraft while it is in flight. The law also applies to instances where a foreign aircraft is compelled to land in Philippine territory or is hijacked while within the country. Penalties are heightened if the hijacker harms the pilot, crew, or passengers, or if the crime involves bomb threats, murder, homicide, serious injuries, or rape. The Dangerous Drugs Law, Republic Act No. 9165, aims to protect the public, especially the youth, from the harmful effects of dangerous drugs and drug-related activities. It mandates a strong campaign against drug trafficking and abuse through comprehensive policies and enforcement. So the law also ensures that the individuals with legitimate medical needs can access appropriate treatments while providing a mechanism for the rehabilitation and reintegration of those affected by drug abuse or dependence. The Anti-Smoking Law, Republic Act 8749, Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999, aims to balance development with environmental protection, focusing on air pollution management. It encourages cooperation among citizens and industries, prioritizes pollution prevention, and promotes public participation in air quality planning. So the law prohibits smoking in public buildings, enclosed public spaces, and public transport, with enforcement handled by local government units. It ensures citizens' right to clean air and establishes a system for accountability regarding environmental impact. The Anti-Smuggling Law, Section 3601, criminalizes the fraudulent import of goods into the Philippines, including assisting in such activities or facilitating the sale, concealment, or transportation of illegally imported goods. So smuggling is considered a crime when goods are imported in violation of the law, or if they are knowingly received, concealed, bought, or sold after importation. So possession of smuggled goods is considered sufficient evidence for conviction unless the defendant provides a satisfactory explanation. So the law specifically penalizes intentional fraud, fraudulent concealment, and failure to disclose the truth about the goods being imported. Next is law on violence against women and children. So it defines violence against women and children as any act or series of acts committed by a person against a woman or child with whom the person has a relationship, resulting in physical, sexual, psychological harm, or economic abuse. Also includes battery, assault, harassment, coercion, and deprivation of liberty. So the law covers physical violence and sexual violence. Sexual acts of committed against a woman or her child. So a dating relationship is defined as a romantic or long-term relationship, not casual social interactions. Laws on human trafficking. So this law punishes anyone who recruits, transports, harbors, or receives people, including children, through force, deception, or abuse for exploitation, such as prostitution, sexual exploitation, forced labor, slavery, or organ trade. It also covers sex tourism, mail-order marriages, and using children in armed conflict. Any act that uses people for profit or exploitation, even under the guise of jobs or marriages, is considered human trafficking under this law. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, so adopted on November 20, 1989. So this global agreement sets out 54 articles protecting the rights of children under 18. Article 1 defines a child as anyone under 18. Article 19 requires states to protect children from violence, abuse, neglect, or exploitation, excluding sexual abuse through laws, programs, and judicial actions. Article 34 states must prevent child sexual exploitation, including unlawful sexual acts, prostitution, and pornography. And lastly, Article 35 states must prevent the abduction, sale, and trafficking of children. The World Congress Against Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children. So the first World Congress is on 1996 on Stockholm, gathered global actors to create strategies against child sexual exploitation, adopting a declaration and agenda for action that emphasize government, societal, and organizational efforts in prevention, protection, recovery, and child participation. The Second World Congress was on 2001 at Yokohama, aimed to strengthen political commitment, review progress, share best practices, identify gaps, and improve follow-up on the agenda for action from the first Congress. Next is the World Tourism Organization. It is a UN agency and global leader in tourism, serving as a forum for tourism policy expertise. It promotes responsible, sustainable and accessible tourism, focusing on maximizing tourism's economic, social, and cultural benefits while minimizing negative impacts. With 157 member countries, including the Philippines and over 300 affiliates, the UNWTO supports the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism and aligns with the UN Millennium Development Goals to reduce poverty and foster sustainable development. The Global Code of Ethics for Tourism provides principles for responsible and sustainable tourism, aiming to minimize negative impacts on destinations and cultural heritage while maximizing benefits for local communities. So, created by the UNWTO through broad consultation with governments, private sectors, NGOs, and labor groups, the 10-point code was approved in 1999 and officially recognized by the UN General Assembly in 2001. It guides governments, industry players, and tourists toward ethical tourism practices that support sustainable development. The UNESCO World Heritage Program, established under 1972 Convention, encourages countries like the Philippines to identify, protect, and preserve important cultural and natural sites. In the Philippines, landmarks like the Baroque churches, Tubataha Reef, rice terraces, Vegan, and Puerto Princesa Subterranean River are recognized. So these sites showcase the country's history and biodiversity while receiving global support for their conservation, helping preserve cultural and natural heritage for future generations. Next is the health tourism. Health tourism in the Philippines promotes physical well-being through spa treatments and medical services. So the DOT aims to position the country as a leading health destination, diversify tourism products, and increase awareness of medical tourism. So key components include spa tourism, which integrates traditional Filipino healing methods and medical tourism, offering affordable healthcare alongside leisure. Advantages include competitive costs, skilled professionals, and English fluency. Accredited hospitals like St. Luke's and Asian Hospital benefit from the incentives such as tax holidays and reduced tariffs on medical equipment. Lastly is the tourism research. So tourism plays a vital role in regional development, creating jobs and linking various sectors. The Local Government Code of 1991 decentralized tourism functions to local government units or LGUs, with regional tourism councils overseeing regional tourism promotion. The DOT is responsible for the tourism master plan and developing new products. So tourism research is protected under the Intellectual Property Code of the Philippines. So copyright ownership depends on whether the work is original or derivative. If created during employment, the employer typically owns the copyright unless otherwise agreed. For commissioned works, the commissioner owns the work, but the copyright stays with the creator unless specified. So exclusive licenses can be registered with the National Library. And that would end my report. Thank you.